Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So as you can tell from the title of this video, I have an array of recommendations for you across all different types of genres. A lot of them only have about one recommendation. There's some of them that have two or more possibly, but I have this huge stack of books next to me, so I'm going to show you the recommendations that I physically own, and then recommendations that I don't physically own, I will post up here on the screen. So if they intrigue you, if that is something that you want to go and check out, definitely, check it out on Amazon. You can find it at your local bookstore most of the time. But definitely make sure that you like this video. Make sure that you comment and subscribe. Also, in the link below, in the description below, there is a link to my Patreon. I am starting to put a lot of fun content on there where if you are the highest tier, you get to pick a book that you want me to read. Maybe it might be one of your favorites or one that you think that I would like. However you want to choose it. I put it into a thing, and every month I pick one or two of those to read. Starting in August, we're going to do a book club as well. I want to read alongside with all of you, and it's going to be basically Patreon picks the books. So we can do book series, we can do, standalones each month, however you guys want to do it. It is all up to you, but I want to bring the community together. Us read something, we will talk about it. It will be an exclusive Patreon discussion. It will not go up on YouTube whenever you hear the thoughts and everything about the book. So definitely come and join me. There are two tiers there that you can help support this channel. And so without further ado, let's get into this video. So I have picked out quite a few books, and if you're anything like me, I'm a huge fantasy and fantasy romance reader. That is what I tend to gravitate towards, even dark romances. So a lot of times on my channel, you only see me give reviews on those genres of books. However, I have read a vast amount of books, and a lot of these are recent reads that I want to recommend to you. So if you are anything like me, if you like to read the same things that I have been reading, if you kind of have the same thoughts and feelings, and we align on books, you might like some of these others. I'll give you a brief description and everything of the books. Whether I liked them in the past or I didn't, that doesn't mean that it's not a good recommendation, because just because the book didn't hit the mark for me, I know that it will hit the mark for a lot of other people. So there are going to be a couple books on here that you are going to see that I gave 1 star to or 2 stars to, and you're like, why are you recommending that book? You didn't like it. Well, just because I didn't like it doesn't mean you're not going to like it. So without that, let's just get into the video. Let's get into the book recommendations. I'm just going to go by genre. If my future editing self can figure out how to post, up here or somewhere down here what the genre is, I will try to do that. But if it's not there, then sorry, I'm still new to this editing thing. So the first genre that I want to talk about is a memoir / nonfiction / autobiography. A lot of times, a lot of people don't like to read these, but I will tell you this one was very, very surprising, and it is Spare by Prince Harry. Now, one thing that I do want to say about this book is absolutely amazing. It goes through Harry's life. It's like in sections, right? It's not really in sections, but that's how I best describe it. So the first third of the book is about Harry when he's younger, when he's with his mother, the death of his mother and how that affected him, how he saw the world, things he went through, how he was feeling. Then the second third of the book is kind of like Harry whenever he is 18 to maybe early 30s, where he's going through the military and, getting into his role as, a prince and doing, all these things for the monarchy and such. Kind of what he was going through, how he felt, and his dynamic with his family at the time. And then the last third of the book is about when he met Megan and what him and Megan had went through and his feelings and his thoughts, and, you know, just the whole thing surrounding every aspect of their lives. He talks about how they were living in fear and different things like that. And it was very gut-wrenching to read. Now, the one thing that I will say, I did try to read this physically. It's not that it's written bad, because it is written very well, but it was hard for me to kind of really get into it. And I'm not a, you know, biography, you know, nonfiction type of reader. So that already was a downfall for me. But I will suggest listen to this on audio, because Harry actually reads the book to you. So you hear his emotions, you hear him cry, you hear him sing, you hear everything that he wants you to get from this book in his voice. And so listening to it on audio was just absolutely amazing. There were parts that I was laughing with him. There were parts that I was actually crying with him. So definitely pick this up. It is definitely worth the listen, at least. Unless you don't really like audio, you can try it physically, but I really suggest, if you want the full experience, listen to it on audio, because he did an amazing job. I really loved learning about his life, because you only see things that are in the media, right? It's not like you can walk up to Prince Harry and be like, how did you feel about this? Or what did you think about this? So right here is a good book to listen to or read, and definitely, you know, definitely give it a try. This is him as a kid. It was really good. It just came out in January, so it's still a fairly new release. I listened to it literally the day it came out. I couldn't put it down. So definitely a good book. So that's for the memoir / nonfiction, you know, genre. Then I'm going to put the books down here. The next one is a YA romance. YA is hit or miss for me. It truly, truly is, because I used to love YA whenever I was younger, but now that I'm older, I really, even though they're very heartfelt and they're very like lighthearted reads, it's just hard for me to pick them up. But one book that did shock me that I absolutely loved, and I read it this year, was Don't Hate the Player by Alexis Ned. So this book is absolutely amazing. It's a very fast read. It's not very long at all. The words on the book are actually pretty big. It's a pretty quick read. I'm terrible with names, so we're just going to say the female main character. The female main character, she is a very smart individual. She is going by her parents' plans for her, actually her mom's plans for her, for whenever she goes to college. Like, she needs to be in this, you know, group. She needs to do these certain, you know, credentials and all of this. And so she's a big bookworm. Now, her mom wants her to be like going to this really prestigious, you know, college, and, you know, doesn't want her to deter from that. So she doesn't date. She doesn't really like go ahead and hang out with friends, and she secretly games at night, and she is playing this game or whatever underneath a pseudonym, because many years prior to that, when she was even younger, she was actually, I don't even know what they call it, but she was definitely targeted online. So she had to like completely delete everything about herself and just, you know, kind of be off the grid. Now she's in a tournament of this game, and her face is going to be blasted everywhere, and she's kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. But enter her rival, our male main character. He was someone that she had met when she was like 10 or 11, I believe. They hit it off at, you know, an arcade, and then, you know, they kind of lost touch because either she moved or he moved, one of the two. And then they never talked again. Now they're in high school. They're like 16, I think, 16 or 17. And she doesn't know it, but he is her rival. He's on the opposing team. So this just starts a vast array of different things, because she wants to be friends with him, but at the same time they're rivals. And then, of course, it's like a friends to enemies to lovers romance. It's cute, it's sweet, it's wholehearted. It's just amazing. And to watch these two connect over video games really spoke to my heart, because my husband and I met on Xbox. So it really kind of spoke to us, or to at least me. It reminded me of him and I. And I think you guys would really like this. It's a very quick read. I don't really hear a lot of people talking about this. That's why I wanted to suggest it, because it's very fun. It's very quirky. It's very, like laugh out loud moments, especially if you are a gamer. You're really going to love this book. So definitely pick that up if you want to read that. So the next one that I'm going to go on is definitely a shocker, because I'm not a horror fan, right? Like, I don't read horror. Like, that's just not my thing. But I'm going to suggest a YA horror for you. And it's kind of like a fantasy horror, I guess, a YA fantasy horror. But it is Shades of Rust and Ruin by A.G. Howard. I'm trying to keep these books from falling. So this book follows our female main character. Her family is cursed. Someone dies every Halloween, so she's trying to stay up to make sure that her and her uncle stay alive, because a year or two prior, her sister was killed, and she feels guilty because she wasn't able to save her. And then on top of that, her uncle is gone. She doesn't know where he's at. Who is it? Clary is someone who had kind of a romantic relationship with her sister, but now is like really good friends with her, and so he's kind of along with the ride. And there is just a little sprinkle of romance in here, but nothing like any of these other books. It's just a dash, like a pinch in there, a very, very, very subplot. But it's really good. So you're following her as she's trying to figure out why her family's cursed, how to break the curse. Secrets are coming out, mysteries are unraveling, all of this stuff is coming up, and she's just not knowing what to do. And it is definitely book one. I think book two has already came out. I can't wait to read the rest of the story. So definitely pick this up if you like fantasy, but you like a little bit of horror, and you like your books to not really have a whole lot of romance, maybe just a pinch in there. This book is really, really good. Secrets and mysteries and a fantasy element. So it was really good. I had a really good time. I think that you might have a good time as well if you like any or all of those elements as well. And you don't have to be a big horror fan, or you can hate horror and still read this book, because I hate horror and I devoured this book. It was so good. So Shades of Rust and Ruin. Definitely be looking out later on this year, because I am definitely going to be reading that second book. I don't know if it's out yet or if it's coming out, but I'm definitely reading it as soon as it does. All right, so on to the next one. I do not have the physical copy of it, but it is like the thriller/mystery genre, and that is Invisible Girl by Lisa Jewell. Now, this book I listened to on audio coming back from Authors in the Bluegrass convention back in October, and I absolutely devoured this book in the one ride home. It was like a 8.5 hour ride. I put it on as soon as I left. Where were we at? Lexington, Kentucky, I think. Finished it before I even got to St. Louis, Missouri. It was so good, so amazing. You're following, well, actually, you don't really follow anybody. There's multiple different POVs in this. There is a girl who was seeing a therapist, and she's the one that goes missing. So throughout this book, you're getting her POV from like a diary aspect, a journal aspect. Then you also have the therapist, and you have his point of view and also his wife's point of view. They're going through some marital things. You also get the neighbor across the street's point of view, because he is, I want to say, a teacher or a student aide or something like that at the school. And everybody is wrapped up into this, like, where is she at? What happened to her? And so as you're going along, like, you're like, oh, I think this person did it, right? And then a couple chapters later, you're like, wait, that wouldn't be correct. And then you're like, I think this person did it. And then by the time you get to the end, you are thrown for an entire loop. You start unraveling, like, it starts coming to you, like, on who the actual person is and what happened to her. And as soon as you figure it out, it's like bam in your face. Like they already are giving it to you. So it's really good. I really enjoyed it. It's very fast paced. I really loved getting the different POVs and what they're going through during this whole time. It was definitely wonderful. So if you like thrillers and you like mystery in your thrillers and you like the different POV aspects where you're following their different lives and how they're wrapped up into all of this, and every chapter you're like, could they have done it? And, you know, like every chapter, you're just changing your mind on who you think it is. It was so good, so well written. So definitely pick up Invisible Girl by Lisa Jewell if any or all of those things definitely strike your fancy. The next one has two book recommendations. One of them I do not have physically, but the other one I do. It is a YA/new adult fantasy romance. I had to put these both together because anymore, when YA fantasy romance is written, it's written in a way that it's like new adult. So new adult really isn't its own genre. So they like either put it with YA or they put it with adult. It's never, you know, just kind of in the middle. So I put these both together because both of these definitely fit that aspect where it's labeled YA, but it's really new adult and definitely not for somebody who is 13 or 14 years old. So the first one is Rose Petal Graves by Olivia Wildenstein. This one, she was a brand new author to me. I had never read anything by her. And sometime last year, I ended up reading Rose Petal Graves and ended up devouring the entire trilogy and the 2 or 3 spinoffs that come after it, like just one after another. I couldn't stop. I couldn't pick anything up. I had to know more about this world. I had to follow these characters again. It was just absolutely wonderful. Your female main character has a lot of Native American representation with it, which I really loved that aspect of it. There are fae in here. She is like, you get to learn a lot about her heritage and how her heritage is intertwined with the fae and what Rose Petal Graves actually are. And it was just a really good world and a really good concept. It's not exquisitely written, okay? So like if you're coming from like a Jennifer L. Armentrout or a Sarah J. Maas level, this is going to be like childish to you. It's going to feel like. But if you go into this book with an open mind and for what it is, and just enjoying it for what it is very enjoyable, very well written. You will fly through the books. The romance is absolutely great. It really doesn't get spicy until like the 3rd book, I believe, or towards the end of the 2nd book. And really at that point, it's not even spice, really. I mean, there are some spicy sentences, but not spicy scenes, if that makes sense. So it's definitely new adult, not for YA, but it's definitely written in a YA-esque type writing. So go into that knowing that, be prepared for it, be prepared that it's not Nobel Prize winning papers, but it is really good. Olivia Wildenstein definitely wove a great, plot. She wove a great world. I love the Native American representation. I love how the Fae are like, kind of woven into that. And I also like the fact that the Fae world or realm is easily accessible. If you know how to get there. It's not like you have to step in a wardrobe or walk through a portal or anything like that. I mean, you do walk through something, but it's a whole different thing. Read the book. You're going to love it. If you love Sarah J. Maas, if you love Jennifer L. Armentrout, if you love fantasy romance and you love fae, you will devour this book. You will love it. I suggest run, don't walk to your nearest Amazon Kindle and definitely read this book. It is 100% amazing. You will end up going to the second one, which is like Rowanwood Legends. And then I can't remember what the third one's called, but you will just end up flying through these and not wanting to stop. So I suggest definitely get something cozy, something to drink, and just buckle up because you're going to love it. The next one in the YA/NA fantasy romance genre is one that has been going around for a year and a half, almost 2 years maybe. But that is These Hollow Vows by Lexi Ryan. Now, before before you pause this video or before you roll your eyes at me because you've heard so many people talk about these books, I understand that if you have read A Court of Thorns and Roses, this is very similar to that. And I understand that. And I understand that you're going to read this book and be like, wow, it's like every other fantasy romance I've ever read. I might as well just go reread ACOTAR. I might as well go reread, From Blood and Ash or whatever. But listen, okay? These books are amazing. If you go into it knowing that it's going to be very similar to a lot of the biggest, fantasy romances that are out there right now, then you're not going to be surprised. You're going to be prepared for it. Follow Bree on her journey because she has a best friend named Sebastian. Her sister goes missing. Her and her sister are in debt to her aunt, so they're working it off. She's like a thief kind of thing. Her sister goes missing. She finds out that she's been taken by the Unseelie King, which is like a dark, grim type of guy. She tells Sebastian that she's going to go to the Fey Realm to get her back. And Sebastian's like, wait a year until I come back, because he's like an apprentice or whatever. And she's secretly in love with him. But, she's like, no, she's my sister. I'm going to go. And so she goes. She just heads off into the Feylands. And she runs into the Seelie Prince. She also runs into a band of misfits, and Finn is like the leader of that, which you later learn who Finn is and who his merry band of misfits are. But if you like the found family aspect, if you like the love triangle, if you love Fae fantasy romances, if you are big fans of Sarah J. Maas or Laura Thalassa or any of those leading fantasy Fae romances, pick this up. You will not be disappointed. No going in that you're going to be like, wow, this is like everything I've ever read. Like all these books jumbled into one, like plot lines. But go into it knowing that and you will not be disappointed. I hear my husband making me a coffee, so I'm so excited for that. But definitely pick this up. It's a duology. It won't take you very long to read that. The second one is called These Twisted Bonds, and it's absolutely great. Like I said, found family, love triangle, enemies to lovers. It's great. I adored it. Okay, so the next one has two recommendations as well. And we're going to go into like the new adult/adult dark paranormal romance genre. So hopefully, I have some people out there that watch my channel that love their, romance a little dark, a little twisty, a little gritty, and, a whole lot of paranormal and spice. So, because you will love these books. I think he's coming with my coffee. I'm going to pause really quick, guys. I will be right back with you. Like I said, he definitely got me a coffee. Here's my mug. Let me take a drink. Okay, so he's so wonderful. So if you like your romance, like I said, spicy, if you like it dark and you like paranormal, then you're definitely going to devour these books. The first one is Her Soul to Take by Harley LaRue. This is a very dark paranormal romance, extremely dark. There is a full kink list on Goodreads. So before you dive into this book or any of Harley LaRue's books, I highly suggest go to Goodreads, look at all of those kink lists and trigger warnings and everything before you get into it, because she does not shy away. I will tell you that. You are following, let me see if I can figure this out, Ray. She is going to college back into a town where her family once lived, where she was born, and she's finishing up her college there. She runs a YouTube channel where she does like paranormal investigations and things like that, which she hates the people that are on YouTube that do the same thing, because they kind of fake it and they get a lot more views than she does whenever she tries to make it more real. And she tries to actually give you the truth rather than faking things. And so she's back at college. You know, she's with her best friend who owns a bookshop. She finds out that there's been a murder in the town at the old mines, and there's always this legend around town that there's like a god that lives at the bottom of the mines, and like he takes sacrifices and all of this. So she's back at college. She comes across like the place where that guy was killed, and she runs into a guy named Leon. Leon is mysterious. She's never seen him before. He's not from around town that she knows. And so she's intrigued by him, but she's not scared of him. And the story kind of goes from there. You start to unravel who Leon is. You start to unravel, what is going on with Ray and how she's entangled in all of this and what's really going on in the town and who is sacrificing who. And it is a dark romance. I will say Leon is a monster. It's not, a spoiler at all. He is a demon. So whenever the romance gets going, just please know that it does get very dark. But it was absolutely good. I did, give this a mediocre reading because plot-wise, it wasn't for me. But spice-wise, kink-wise, definitely on par. So I definitely have loved a lot of other books that Harley LaRue has written, especially her Losers series with The Dare being the novella beforehand. So she's one of the authors that I will continue to read. I don't think I'm going to read the second book in this series because, like I said, the plot really wasn't something that I really wanted to revisit with other characters. And I think that the second and third book will be going alongside the same timeline that you've already read here, but just like at a different point of view and like what's going on like off screen kind of thing. So I don't know if I really want to revisit that or not, but this is definitely worth it. I think you guys would love it, especially if you're dark and twisty and you love your spice. So pick this up if you like that. My next one that I really want you to try to read if you love your dark, twisty, spicy, paranormal romance, this is an author who I absolutely love. Everything she writes is just absolutely magnificent, and that is Shadow Kissed by Rebecca Garcia. So this is her newest series. I know she's working on something else that's going to be coming out later on this year, but this is her newest series that she just wrapped up. There's 4 books in it, so you can binge the entire series. You won't be having to wait on anything, and even if you did have to wait, she only makes you wait like 2 months. She doesn't make you wait forever. But this book is following Olivia. Yeah, Olivia. And Olivia is a sorcerer, and she lives in a town that borders the vampire kingdom, which is called... You think that I would know this, and I'm just terrible with names. But anyway, it borders the vampire kingdom. And so her mom is like the head of this guild that keeps all the humans safe. And, Olivia, our main character, just went through something tragic where her boyfriend had committed suicide like 3 or 4 months prior to the start of this. So you're watching her grieve and go through all of this. And, her best friend, I wanted to call him Colin. Draven, I think, is her best friend's name. Anyway, he's part of the guild. He comes over to watch her at night one night, and then her mom goes into work because they had like some, I guess, correspondence that vampires were in a part of the town or something. So anyway, let's fast forward a few hours. All of a sudden, her mom's missing. Draven's trying to get her to the guild because the vampires have overrun their town. And while they get to the guild, they find out that the vampires have already infiltrated the guild. And, Draven is, taken. Olivia is knocked unconscious. She wakes up in this like big mansion type house. She doesn't know where she's at, and then enters Sebastian, our male main character. He's a vampire, and he has taken her to his place. And the story goes from there. You find out who Olivia is. You find out, how Draven comes into everything. You find out about Sebastian. Also, Sebastian has some friends, so it's kind of like a found family type of thing. And then you also, get to unravel this mystery. You get to see the gruesome, and grotesque vampire world, they do not shy away from things. They kill people. It's very bloody. There are some trigger warnings. Check them out on Goodreads and Amazon before you read the book, because there are some trigger warnings in here that may not be for everybody, because it does get very dark. Not as dark as Harley LaRue, but very dark. And the first one isn't as bad. As the books go on, the darker they get and the spicier they get. So just know that. But it doesn't just follow Olivia towards the end of the series. You're following this whole cast of characters that you grow to love, you grow to hate. It's a great world. It's so fantastic. I love what Rebecca Garcia has done with this. So if you like vampires, if you like enemies to lovers, if you like a dark paranormal romance with a lot of spice, pick this up, because even though she's not like a New York Times bestseller, she's getting there, and you are going to want to read this book because I feel like it's about to take off pretty heavy. So get ahead of the game, go read this, and I think it might be on Kindle Unlimited. Don't quote me on that, but I think it might. So that was that. The next one is a YA paranormal / romance that's not dark and not really spicy at all. There is some romance in there, but not like the adult versions. And I don't own a physical book anymore. Well, actually, I think I do. I just don't know where it's at, because I have the entire series and the entire spinoff. But that is House of Night by Kristen Cast and PC Cast. It's mother and daughter that wrote this series. There's like 12 books in the series, and then she wrote a spinoff that's called The Lost Worlds or whatever, and it's kind of like a reverse of what is actually going on in House of Night. It's actually pretty neat. And what's really neat about it is I grew up in a small town in Kansas near Joplin, Missouri, and where they're from is from Tulsa, Oklahoma, which is about an hour from where I grew up. And so I've been to Tulsa thousands of times, and every structure and everything is all based off of actual places in Tulsa. So you can go there and tour where they had the House of Night and all of this stuff. So it's really, really neat how she did that. But you are following, I'm not even going to try to remember her name. You're following our female main character. And she ends up being marked. Marked is the first book. And she ends up being marked. And so she gets whisked away, taken to the House of Night. Now, the whole world knows about vampires because you have, like, you know, these tattoos on your forehead and stuff. So people don't shy away from vampires. They just want them to be in their own world. And it's not really vampires. Listen, okay? Just ignore everything that I just said. She gets whisked away to the House of Night, okay? And she ends up finding a merry band of misfits in here and, you know, really connects with some people. And then as she's going along, you know, because not everybody survives the mark. Sometimes, you know, you die from it. So, like, while she's going to the school, learning about her history and all of this, and she has professors that she meets and stuff, she knows that she may not survive this. And it was actually a pretty neat concept. And then things happen, a mystery is going on, and the whole story unfolds, and it's like a 12-book series that just like keeps going, and it just keeps you hooked. So if you really like, you know, the dark academia, I guess, type of genre, if you like YA paranormal romance, if you like, you know, kind of dark and gritty storylines, but they're not heavy or anything like that, and if you like the found family aspect and, you know, like a whole group of characters and different POVs and such, pick this book up because it's absolutely amazing. PC Cast is a renowned bestseller. Her daughter also is one as well, and whenever they came together to write this series, it was so, so good. The series is a little bit older. I think the last book in the original series came out 2012, 2013, possibly. So it is an older series, but it is still so, so good. So I highly suggest, if you like any type of books that I like, go check it out. You're going to love it. So that's House of Night by PC Cast. So the next one has 2 recommendations, surprisingly. Let me get a drink. So there's two. And the reason why I say surprisingly is because I'm not a contemporary romance girly, okay? If you've been around my channel a long time, you already know I am not. And for some reason, within the past like 8 months, I have been drawn to contemporary romance. I have ended up finding some like absolute favorites of all time for me, which is strange. So I want to suggest some for you. If we have some same reading tastes, pick these books up if you haven't already. The first one is The Words by A. Jade, or Ashley Jade, if you know her. This book is so good. I read this in February. It's really thick, but I could not stop. I just couldn't stop. So you're following Lennox. I did that the first time. You're following Lennon. If you've watched my videos before, you already know that in February, I did that multiple times. I called them Lennox. Anyway, I digress. You're following Lennon. She is the smarty pants of the high school. She has, a really good grade. She's going to go to college. Her mother, passed away whenever she was born. She never got to know her mom. So she lives with her dad. And she is asked by a teacher to tutor Phoenix Walker. Now, she has a huge crush on Phoenix. He's like the bad boy of the school. All the girls want him, kind of thing. So she's like, I'm not tutoring Phoenix. And she's like, he needs to graduate. You need to do this, blah, blah, blah. So she gets convinced. She goes to Phoenix. And so they start doing a tutoring session. And this spans multiple weeks. Okay. So you're watching them as they're going, and their friendship is actually getting closer and closer. Right. And then after weeks of tutoring him and them getting closer, and you just really love their friendship, Phoenix betrays her in a very awful way. Okay, pretty awful. And she just doesn't talk to him again. Fast forward like 5 or 6 years. She has left college because her father has fallen ill. So she's back at home trying to take care of her father and working at, a local place. And Phoenix has become famous. He's a big mega rock star. Everybody loves Phoenix Walker. Phoenix, one of his bandmates gets killed in an accident that Phoenix is involved in. And so he is just getting into alcohol and drugs and just consuming it. So the, PR is hiring people to keep Phoenix clean and straight and get him through, his tour. And every single one of them, ends up getting fired or dismissed or leaves. So one of the bandmates knew Lennon whenever she was tutoring Phoenix. And he suggested to the PR team, get Lennon. She will keep Phoenix straight. Now, Lennon hates Phoenix, right? Because he betrayed her. So she's offered a ridiculous amount of money to do this. If she can survive, I think it's 6 weeks, and keep him on the straight and narrow, then she'll get like this ungodly amount of money. So she takes up the offer because she wants to ruin his career. She wants revenge, right? You're following them on this whole wild ride of emotions, and I love Lennon, I love Phoenix, I love both of them. I even love the side characters as you're watching this whole thing go. This was a really heartfelt book, a really touching subject. I know that it might be a trigger warning for some people because it does involve drugs and alcohol and death of friends and such. But, if those are not trigger warnings for you, then you'd be okay. But this is not an easy read. This is a very heavy book, but it was very good as well. I ended up having to listen to it on audio because as I was reading the book, I was crying in parts, and I was like, I just need to listen to it in audio so like I can kind of, do other things while I'm listening, because I was really getting invested in it. And as soon as I put the book down, like I just had to sit there for a moment because it was so good. And there is a spinoff. It's called The Choice. So I'm going to be reading that soon, but pick up The Words. It's really good. It's a standalone. It's not a series. It's very, very good. So pick that up. The next one in the contemporary romance, if you want something that's a little lighter, a little more fun, and, fancy and all that, is The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. This is a very light read. This is a very quick read. These are STEM romances. They are standalones, but there are series. They're not connected in any way, except the novella with the 3 novellas combined. They are connected in a way, but the books, The Love Hypothesis and Love on the Brain, they're not, but they are in the STEM world. And you are following Olive, I believe. Yes, Olive and Adam. So Olive, in the world of STEM and in the world of science, women are not held at high regard, right? So Olive is trying to prove herself. She's trying to get, this money and stuff. And then in comes Adam, who is just not giving her what she needs. And, she thinks that he hates you and all this stuff. Anyway, it is a great, great book. Love on the Brain, I think, was a little bit better. But this introduces you to kind of just like Ali Hazelwood's writing and stuff. It's very fun. It flows very well. You can just fly right through it. But all the books tend to be similar in certain aspects of it. But I really loved this. And I loved their, chemistry. But the one thing that I don't like about Ali Hazelwood's writing is the fact that, you have all this tension and buildup of how the friendship or the enemies to lovers thing is progressing. And then whenever the love thing happens, it's instant. That's the only thing I don't like. But other than that, I love her writing. I am desperately waiting for Love Theoretically to come out, which is the 3rd book in this series. I think that comes out in June, and I can't wait. I literally cannot wait. But if you want a fun contemporary romance that's easy to read, that will give you laugh out loud moments, this is like a Kylo Ren fanfic, if you will. You can kind of tell that he kind of looks like Kylo Ren a little bit. So if you're a Star Wars fan, you might like that. But definitely pick up The Love Hypothesis or The Love on the Brain. Either one you can do, but they are fun and they're heartfelt, and they do have some hard-hitting topics in there, but it's written in a way that it's not like the words where it consumes you. It's in a more lighter, fluffier way. So I definitely enjoyed it. You might like it as well. Ali Hazelwood is now one of my must-read authors, which is surprising to me. The next one is a fiction or a literary fiction, historical fiction, whatever you want to call it. That is, I don't have the book anymore, but that is The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. Guys, I hated this book. Not really hated. I just didn't like the way that the plot went. The book is great. The writing is fantastic. The characters are wonderful. I think it's a hit. It's a smash hit. It just wasn't a hit for me because I personally didn't like the plot of the book, but it is a favorite among many people that I know, so I think that you might like it as well. You are following Evelyn Hugo. She is finally going to do her tell-all, that she's never done before, and you're following her as she's, telling you the stories of all the 7 husbands that she's had, the life that she's had, the loves and the losses and everything, and it's very heartfelt, and then you find out why this reporter was picked out of all of them, because somehow her and Evelyn are connected in a way, and you don't know until the end, and it was a big twist for me. I did like that about the book because I did not see that coming. I did not guess it. So if you have not been spoiled for it and you want to read The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, because it is a really good book, pick it up because the twist will definitely surprise you. Let me know in the comments below, did you guess the twist before it happened, or were you as shocked as I was if you've read it? Because I really need to know. But yeah, you're just following Evelyn, and there's a lot of drama. There's a lot of Hollywood glitz and glamour, and it was a really fun book. I really enjoyed reading it, and if I said that I didn't, then I'm lying, because I enjoyed it. I devoured the book. Just after reading it, it just didn't stay with me. It wasn't one that I'm going to pick up ever again, but I will recommend it to people because I think that there's a lot of people out there that will enjoy books like this. So, and there's also LGBTQ representation in the book. So that was also not mentioned to me, but also a nice, refreshing surprise because, you know, to have that thrown in there was really good, especially at the time that it all happened, whenever that was like kind of taboo. I really, really enjoyed that part of the book. So, pick up that. And then it is coffee time, guys. We are almost there. So, the next book is a romance comedy, a rom-com. Again, I don't read books like this. But, again, my book boxes are surprising me. And that is X's and O's by Amy Lee. I actually just read this last month. And I just did my, you know, big review on it. So I'm not really going to go into too much depth with it. Because if you want to go watch my April wrap up. I go into a little bit more depth with this. But this book, you guys, was so good. Like, I've read some rom-coms. And I've not liked them. This was amazing. You have, good grief, Tara. She's a book blogger, booktuber, bookstagram person. And she's wanting to find romance like her books. And she talks to her grandma and finds out that like her grandma had a second chance love. So she wants a second chance love. So now she's going to go and try to redate all of her exes. I think there's like 11 of them. And she's living with Trevor, which Trevor is her sister's fiance's best friend. They swapped apartments, right? Because she was living with her sister. Her fiance was living with Trevor, and they swapped apartments, and, you know, it was kind of funny. So anyway, Trevor's helping her. He's her wingman. And, you know, she's going through and like following up with her exes and, you know, all of this stuff. And like Trevor's helping her, and there were some laugh out loud moments, and it was so good. Friends to lovers, funny, hilarious. I flew through this book surprisingly. So definitely don't count this one out. This is the Illumicrate Afterlight edition. I think the original is like yellow and red and stuff. It's still gorgeous. Go pick this up. It's not very long. I think the book is like 300 pages, if that. It was so good. So good. Gives me kind of hope to read from Amy Lee again. I think I might try another one of her books soon because I absolutely loved it. All right, so now on to the adult romance. And it's more like adult dark romance is what it is. And actually, no, I'm not going to say the dark because I have another one in here that's for adult dark romance. This is just like kind of adult romance. And it is Follow Me, the Follow Me series. This is Follow Me Darkly, which is the first book by Helen Hart. So if you like 50 Shades of Grey, but you think 50 Shades of Grey was just like all sex and no plot, you're going to love this book. Because this book, yes, has BDSM. It has a billionaire romance. It does have that dom sub, you know, type of relationship. What it has that 50 Shades did not have is a great storyline, a great plot, and well-developed characters. Sky Manning, she is from Kansas. She's in the big city. She is, you know, like an assistant to one of the biggest influencers online. And so, you know, she's kind of wrapped up in that world. That's what she wants to do. And then in comes Braden Black, and he is, you know, the billionaire and all that stuff. And he's like the rival to her boss. And there's like a past with that, and then she ends up like meeting him, and then things kind of go there with him and Sky. And it's kind of 50 Shades-esque because there is kind of a contract type of thing. There is, you know, a lot of correlation to 50 Shades, but even though you get the sex and you get the spice, you also have a very good plot line and a very good storyline and really good drama and everything. It's not just like sex. It's not just, Christian tells you what to do and you do it type of thing. Like, Sky actually has a backbone and she stands up for herself. So she's like, I'm not doing that, or you're gonna tell me this. And so it's a trilogy. There's Follow Me Darkly, Follow Me Under, and Follow Me Always. And then she actually came out with 3 books from Braden's point of view. The first one is called Darkly, the second one is called Under, and the third one is called Always. And I really loved that because you get to learn more about Braden Black, and I loved him. He was such a good character. So if you want a lot of plot to your romance, pick this up. I really think that you will love it so much because it was so good. I got it as an ARC one day, and I was like, great. This is like another 50 Shades book. And I started reading it, and I actually was reading this whenever it was the old cover. I will try to overlay the old cover right here for you. But I read it whenever it was the old cover, and there was that cover, and then Follow Me Under was the same similar cover. And then the third one, whenever it came out, were these new ones. And so the publisher actually sent me a box that had all 3 of these and all 3 of Braden's books together. The publisher did, kind of as a PR package. And I was happy they did that because I had 2 books of one set that they sent me. And then I had the 3rd book to this set that didn't even match. And it was just driving my OCD crazy. And then they sent me that package without even me asking. So it was really, really nice. It was a good package. I had 6 books and I had some goodies in there. So it was really good. But if you like it, definitely, if you like 50 Shades but you want more plot and stuff, if you like spice, pick this up. It's really, really good. This video is going to be extremely long. I am so sorry, but we're down to the last 3 books, guys. So the second to last genre that I'm going to talk about is called adult fantasy romance. I have 2 books in here. One is very hyped right now. The other one is not really gaining a lot of hype, but it needs it. So the first one, we'll just go with the hyped one. The Serpents and the Wings of Night. I'm currently reading The Ashes and the Star-Cursed King, which there's mixed reviews about it. Some people didn't like it. Some people do love it. I love it. I am 55% of the way through the second book, and I don't want it to end. So this book is really, really good. You're following Aurea. Aurea was saved by the Nightborn King Vincent, raised as one of his own. She was very young whenever it happened. She is trained in a world of vampires because she's just human. She knows that she's valuable and fragile and all of these things, so she stays kind of pent up in the castle. And then at night she sneaks out, she goes and kills a bunch of vampires in the human districts and comes back. Anyway, she enters the Kajari, and the Kajari comes around once every 100 years, and it's all these vampires from different parts of the world that come together. You fight to the death. The one that's left standing at the end of the Kajari, which is like several weeks long because it goes by the moon phases, is the winner. And her father, Vincent, who has been raising her, was the Kajari winner the last time, I believe, or the second to last time. Anyway, so she enters, she's thrusted into this moon palace with all these vampires, and she's the only human, but she's been trained for this her whole life. And so she's having to make allies, where she doesn't want to, where she meets Rain and Misha and all of this. So good. It's very action-packed. It's very, gruesome because the vampires are unforgiving and they're relentless, and there's like a lot of talk of blood and gore in here. Aurea is not a wallflower. She is brutal, and she knows how to kick ass, and she doesn't stop. And I absolutely loved this. I loved the romance in here. I loved the ending, the cliffhanger. I'm really loving the second book. So if you listen, if anyone tells you this book is like ACOTAR or recommends it because of ACOTAR, please don't listen to them. The only thing that is ACOTAR-esque about this is that there's trials that she's going through. That's it. This book is not like ACOTAR. I understand why people think that. It is a fantasy romance. It does have some of the draw of Rhysand in here, but it is not like that. It's like Hunger Games. It's really good. So if you like vampires, if you like Hunger Games, if you like fast action-packed books, then pick it up. It's definitely gaining the hype for the right reasons. So I'm pretty excited for that. The next one in the category, my books just fell, is The Dark King by Gina Maxwell. This book is not really that popular around. I haven't heard a lot of people talking about it. This is an arc that I got from the publisher. And it's a fae fantasy romance, but it's kind of dark, but it's very ACOTAR-esque, I will say. But it is like an urban fantasy. So you're following Bryn, who gets like a invitation to go to Nightfall in Vegas, and for the weekend, and no one knows why she's there. And then she meets, what's his name? Caden. And Caden is like the owner of Nightfall, and you find out who Caden is later on, and it's about their romance, and it's about all these different things, and you find out who Bryn actually is. So if you do, like it says on here, for fans of Katie Robert and Scarlett St. Clair, it's a dark erotic romance with a fantasy twist. That's what it says on the back here. So that was pretty neat. It just came out in September of last year. But I had a little bookmark that they sent me. Anyway, it is really, really good. I devoured this book. I loved it. I could not stop reading it. Only because I really liked the urban fantasy part of it. I really liked Bryn's character. I really liked Caden's character. So I'm currently reading The Rebel King, which is the second book in this series. So, and it follows, I want to say Caden's brother. I can't remember which brother it is, but it follows Caden's brother, one of his brothers, and it's really good too. I'm currently reading it. I should have my review up on that probably in June. But yeah, pretty excited. So the last, I don't even know why I'm going to put it down there. The last one is adult dark romance, and I'm talking dark, but it's not paranormal or fantasy. And that is Haunting Adeline by H.D. Carlton. Now, this is beautiful, isn't it? This is a stalker romance. This is a very dark romance. This is a very unconventional romance. Definitely check trigger warnings. This is the cat and mouse duet. This is book 1. Book 2 is Hunting Adeline. So H.D. Carlton does not hold back. She will not pack any punches. She will be very brutal and very, with her characters. They go through a lot. And if you like the stalker romance vibes, if you like where it's a very dark but like a gothic type of feel, you're going to love this series. I love H.D. Carlton. I love her so much that at Authors in the Bluegrass, I ended up, where's it at? I got it personalized from her. Both of them, actually, the cat and mouse duet. So, anyway, pick this up if you want I'm pretty sure you know what it is. If you don't know what it is, it's like literally everywhere on BookTube and Book Talk. Don't spoil yourself if you're going to read it. But this is a very dark romance. So, pick it up. It's really good. So those are all the books that I want to recommend to you. This video is so long, and I'm so sorry. It's like an hour long. My husband's probably like, what happened to my wife? We were supposed to play some Elder Scrolls tonight. So anyway, I'm going to edit this. I'm going to get it up for Saturday. Today is Thursday. He just had surgery last week, so that's why there hasn't been any videos for the past week or two, because I've been taking care of him and, all of this stuff. So anyway, I wanted to get this one out, so I hope this makes up for the lack of my, presence here on YouTube. But please make sure that you keep liking and subscribing and following for more future content. Always leave me comments below. Leave me recommendations. Go to my Patreon. I don't even think I have any Patreons yet, but I want some because I want people to tell me what to read. Because I need people to just be like, listen, this author is amazing. Just like I'm telling you about Rebecca Garcia or any of these other books. Go check them out because they are wonderful. If there was any author in this stack that I'd want you to go check out right now, it would be Rebecca Garcia. Her stuff is just phenomenal. She has a lot of Kickstarters going on right now, with some like deluxe editions of her books, and they're just stunning and gorgeous. So go check out her Shadow Kiss series. She also has other books as well if that doesn't really fit your style, because she has a YA fantasy romance series called The Fate of the Crowns. And then she also has some standalones, Spellbound and Heart of a Witch, that are in the same world, but they're standalones. They follow different characters. So Spellbound is really good too. So go pick one of her books up. I think you'll fall in love with her, and then you're probably going to be coming to comment back on this video or in any future video and tell me just how much you love her, because she's amazing. So anyway, if you want to, like I said, go to my Patreon, tell me what you want to read, find out some, exclusive content, but follow my next video because I have some pretty good things going on with that one as well. And I will see you all next time. Bye.